Thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk to you guys today about the referendum system that we've been working on. And just give me a second here to get it working. And hopefully you guys can see my screen okay. So yeah, the referendum system, it's been something that a number of us from the community have been working on for a little over a month now. And I'm excited to have the opportunity to tell you guys about it. My name's Daniel Keyes. I'm an EOS community member. I am the co-founder and COO of EOS Nation, and I've been project managing the EOS referendum system for the since we started a little over a month ago. So what I'm going to take you guys through today, I'm going to take you through the problem that we're trying to solve. I'd like to talk through the goal, the approach we're going to be taking to solve that problem, the specific proposed solution. I'll take you through a bit of a status update, and then I'll take you through some next steps and acknowledgements for all of those who've been involved in working on this so far. So the problem, EOS has huge potential to be that system that so many of us have faith it'll be the bringing through that decentralized future. It's what I'm so excited about for EOS. That's why I got on board. I think it has true potential to change the world, but it's in its infant state. The governance layer is still deficient without funding. It's an interim constitution that needs amendment and ratification. We've got a worker proposal fund that has no method of distribution, and the worker proposal fund, last I checked, I think we had over $40 million of EOS in there. That's US dollars worth of EOS, and it's collecting about $1 million a day. And we've even had proposals from Block 1 to let's get rid of this worker proposal fund altogether. But in any case, there's no way for the stakeholders, our token holders, to decide, A, whether do we want to keep this worker proposal fund, and if we do, how do we spend it? So this is a problem we want to solve. So the main goal is to get something that's good enough to market as soon as possible so that token holders can start shaping the future of EOS and unlock its full potential. Thomas alluded to this in his talk a little bit about the need in blockchain to, start small and work your way up to something, build something that you can test and iterate on and improve over time. And that's our goal with this, is to get something into market that we can start playing with, start testing, and we can make it perfect over time. The bare minimum goal that we need to hit before we go to market is that we need to make sure we conform to Article 11 of the EOS Constitution. We want to make sure we limit friction for voting to maximize participation among both the technical and the non-technical token holders. We want to introduce some friction, though, for proposal submission to prevent ballot spam, and we want to prevent voter overload and apathy. And we want to make sure we decentralize as much as possible. So Article 11 is the part of the Constitution that dictates what you need to do to make changes to the Constitution. So we are making sure that the referendum system that we design can accommodate this requirement. So that reads, this Constitution and its subordinate documents shall not be amended except by a vote of the token holders with no less than 15% of vote participation among tokens and no fewer than 10% more yes than no votes sustained for 30 continuous days within a 120-day period. So let's talk through the kind of proposed solution, how we're going to meet that goal and those requirements. So the first iteration of a referendum system is going to include a proposal submission feature, the ability to vote, vote storage, vote tally and snapshot, and decentralized user interfaces. And I'll take you through each of these in a little more detail. So proposal submission. Proposals can be submitted by any token holder, and as long as the proposer can supply the RAM to store that proposal. Any UI, any user interface, can facilitate the submission of a proposal, and they can also display any proposal the developer chooses. So what I mean by what the developer chooses is that UI, so say for example the GrayMass wallet, has full control over their UI, and they can decide what they want to show and not show in their user interface. Which means if And this is something that's a great feature, both to make sure that our wallet developers can control that user experience, and it will also help to limit some spam. So we suspect that we'll probably likely have a lot of people, submitting proposals for things like everybody gets a free pony. We will have the wallet developers will have the ability to kind of filter out the spam and display the more true referendum proposals or any proposal. Each proposal is going to have a unique hash. So that's just so when you're voting, you can compare the hash and make sure that you're voting on the actual proposal you are meaning to vote on. We're also including, or we're suggesting to include, a designated account for BP proposal submissions. So this would be a trusted account that all user interfaces can reference for referendum proposals. So this is an account that's controlled by the top 21 BPs through a vote of 15 out of 21. They could put forward proposals, and that would mean that any UI that references this account would automatically display any proposal that is put forward by BP. So this is to try to mitigate some of that chaos I was kind of alluding to in the previous slide. The need for a developer to pick and choose which proposal to put in their UI, to limit some of that effort. If they just reference this designated approved account, they won't have to update their UI every time there's a new proposal by the BPs. It would just display everything by them. And at the same time, this leaves open flexibility for, if another community member or group creates an account and gains reputation over time, they could likely become a default account that could be referenced by UIs as well. Voting. So voting would be done through the EOS Forum dApp. This is a smart contract based on the EOS Forum, and any EOS account can cast a vote through this. Votes can be cast through any wallet or UI that supports it, not just through the command line. And voters' EOS account name and vote selection are then propagated through the chain when a vote is done. And we're going to be storing that vote. So this is a new feature we just added to, or the scope of this project, about a little over a week ago. And what this is going to do is keep a table of the votes in RAM as consensus data. So this will allow a UI to display to a token holder what they voted for. So for example, if today I go into the GrayMass wallet and vote for a proposal, tomorrow I could return and I would be able to see in the user interface what was, did I vote yet and what did I vote for? Without this feature, that wouldn't be possible. And it'll enable simpler implementation of independent tallies. This does, though, mean that when a voter is voting, they do have to supply a small amount of RAM to store their vote. We're estimating it's going to be under 50 bytes, but that still needs to be confirmed through testing. Vote tallying is going to happen off-chain. So while the votes and the voters are all stored in RAM in consensus data on-chain, we still need to be able to count how many tokens each of those voters have staked and where those votes are being applied to. So we are going to be building our own MongoDB tally off-chain, which tallies the number of tokens staked towards each proposal choice at a given time. But again, since the tally is off-chain, you can't just query the chain for the results. UIs would need to feed from a custom-built tally results endpoint. We're also going to have a snapshot tool that will take snapshot every hour, every 7,200 blocks, which will allow us to audit the result of an election or of a referendum. This is just one implementation. So we're suggesting that, and we suspect there will be multiple tallies that are built. Again, since this is something off-chain, that all it's doing is taking a count. It would be great if we have multiple versions of this tally system that we could compare results against. And one of the great things with the vote storage that we implemented, which I talked about on the previous slide, is that makes that much easier. So we suspect there'll be likely multiple block producers have their own tally systems built, and other members of the community can build their own. And when we're monitoring the result of a referendum, we can monitor all of them and make sure that they all match and that the results are legitimate. So I've been talking about this kind of throughout. It's the decentralized user interfaces. We designed this as more of a protocol that any user interface, any developer can integrate with. And that was mainly to do with the fact that we want to make sure that token holders can service themselves in the platform that they're most comfortable with. I've been talking about GrayMass throughout. Their team's been heavily involved in helping us build this, and they've committed to implementing this into their wallet. So an example would be if I'm a token holder that I've already shared my private key with my GrayMass wallet, and I'm skeptical of any web wallets out there or any other tools. GrayMass is the one that I trust. It would be unfair to our token holders, I think, to require that they now share their private key in a separate tool so that they can vote on a referendum or on something like a worker proposal. So we've designed this in a way so that any UI can integrate with this feature. That way the token holders don't have to expose their private keys to a new risk. They don't have to learn a new tool to, a new learning curve to get over. And this will hopefully help to increase participation and confidence of all of our token holders. So I mentioned GrayMass, EOS Toolkit, EOS Authority, My EOS Kit, and EOS Votes are all interfaces that have committed to supporting this user interface. And again, this is something we've designed that really anybody can decide to support, so we'll likely see this list grow. EOSVotes.io, by the way, is a new interface that we are working on specific to the referendum. It's going to be designed to be kind of an educational hub as well as a place where you can vote, kind of inform voters of what is a referendum, why they should care, and give them the tools to participate. So here is the current status. The proposal submission feature is built, tested, ready to be integrated with the rest of the features. Our voting tool is as well been built. It's been tested to an extent. The vote storage feature, which was just recently added, hasn't been tested along with the voting yet. But again, that vote storage feature is built as well and currently in testing. Vote tally and snapshot, that's again, we've completed the planning. It's pretty well along the build process and almost ready to be tested. And I've seen already multiple user interfaces already integrating with this. I've seen some screenshots and examples of, I think EOS Toolkit has already implemented some of these features live that can be already played with. And I've seen some screenshots of GrayMass with already these features implemented. The last update I heard from the team, it sounds like we're probably within a week or two, we'll be ready to have all these features will be complete and ready to integrate together and test end to end. We can probably start doing some mock referendums and making sure it all works as expected, and iterate from there. So our next steps would be to continue to solicit feedback from the community, something that we've been doing already. You may have seen some of our updates. You may have been in our Telegram chats, something we want to continue. We're going to be completing building our first iteration. We'll be testing that first iteration with a mock referendum and then hopefully holding the first EOS referendum. Coming later, so I mentioned that this is just our first iteration, something we were planning to improve upon. We'd like to eventually have the ability to tally votes on-chain with Node.EOS plugins rather than MongoDB off-chain. We'd like a more automated way for UIs to determine what proposals to display. So I imagine something kind of like a Reddit portal where users could submit ideas for proposals before putting them forward for a vote. Community members can comment, upvote, and the top ones would automatically filter into into the UIs to be voted on. And we'd also like to have the ability for proxy voting. So like it's possible to assign a proxy to vote for you for BP. This is something we'd like to also make possible in our referendum tool. So we've had, I mentioned this is a community effort. We've had a huge amount of help from multiple members of the community. You'll notice most of these are members of block producers. I think that's a kind of a cool testament to the incentives in place in delegated proof of stake. Block producers have a huge incentive to add value to the EOS ecosystem. And this is just evidence of how that's working. We can see all these block producers getting on board to build what I believe is probably one of the most important tools being working on to in the next phase of EOS's development. So yeah, thank you to all of the members of the community and block producers who have been helping to build that. I've just been project managing. I'm not a developer myself. Would definitely not be something I could build without the help of all this great talent. And finally, I'll just leave this with you guys. If you go to eosvotes.io, that will take you to a Medium post I did that outlines our roadmap. There's also a link there to our Telegram channel. So if you want to get involved, if you have, for example, have a wallet that you're creating that you want to integrate with us, or if you have feedback, join us on the Telegram channel. We'd be happy to chat and take your feedback and see what we can do about that. So yeah, that concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to take some questions. I can figure out how to. There we go. How am I doing for time?
Yeah, if you could take 1 or 2 questions, maybe in the ask a question section below. I think the first one is from Thomas Cox. He says, I'm guessing you raise no barrier to ballot proposing because you want to avoid citing policy. Why and how do we prevent 10,000 new proposals a day is the top question.
Sure. Yeah. So yeah, that's been a hot topic in our conversation. Thank you, Thomas. There's a couple of things. So we're taking more of a free market approach, I guess, to this. So I allude a little bit to, for example, the fact that UIs can control what proposals to display in the UI, and we're proposing that we have this dedicated BP-owned account that can, through the votes of the top 21, can put forward specific proposals. I suspect that what the community will determine is, okay, this is a trusted source of proposals. We will, they can almost serve, again, it's not so much a gatekeeper, but it's a body of trusted, elected, this is the only group of people in EOS that have actually been elected, who can kind of manage and put forward proposals. At the same time, this leaves open the possibility for other groups to emerge as they develop their reputation, prove themselves as a body that's capable of putting forward quality proposals. This will enable them to become a default account to be referenced by the UIs as well. But again, the ultimate goal, as I mentioned in the future, is to hopefully have a system that's more automated.
And the last question from Brandon, Happy Money Man. What will prevent whales from colluding to only support their own proposals?
So what will prevent whales from colluding to only support their own proposals? Let's only talk about legitimate proposals from whales. Again, it's going to be up to the token holders as a community to get involved. That's one of the reasons that we want to make the ability to vote as easy as possible. We want everybody in the community to have a voice. So that's the main reason we want to make sure that any wallet has the ability to participate, and our only defense to prevent colluding, and this is something also that Ash alluded to in his talk, is that we need more token holders to participate. If a handful of whales are the only ones participating, then we'll end up with a system controlled by those whales. It's up to us as members of the community to get involved, and what we've designed here is a system that will hopefully enable that.
All right, great. Thanks so much, Daniel. Thanks for the update. It's great. How can people contact you? I guess the Medium post is a great one to refer to. But if they want to ask you maybe individually.
Sure. Yeah. Like I said, eosvotes.io will take you to Medium. I'm on Telegram. I'll write my handle here in the chat. It's @chillsauce. And so you can find me on Medium if you want to talk individually. Go to eosnation.io for all the EOS Nation links. We got a great community there. And like I said, if you go to eosvotes.io, there's a link to the referendum group's Telegram channel if you want to give feedback about the referendum work we're doing.
That's awesome. All right, awesome. Thanks so much, Daniel. And Moti is up next from ECAF. So I really appreciate it, Daniel.
Thank you. Take care, everybody.